Time after time after time, if you fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting for you. Time after time, time after time, time after time. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time after time, if you fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting for you. Time after time. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting for you. Time after time. 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 Time after time.
Come into this place with your whole self, the parts that are raw and exposed, the parts that are beaming with joy, the part that is seeking the truth, the new, the possibility. Come into this place and open your heart, lay down your burden, lift up your hope for something new to happen. Come into this place with fellow travelers on the journey, some faces new and others familiar, and all welcoming you here, now, to this moment. Come, let us worship together on this beautiful morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Los Alamos. I'm the Reverend John Cullinan, your minister here. As Unitarian Universalists, we affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of all people and gather together in a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are at this moment, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome to be a part of this community. I want to extend a special welcome to any visitors and first-time guests we have among us this morning. I would love to meet you after the service as we all gather for coffee and conversation in our fellowship hall, introduce myself, and answer any questions you might have about our community here. And now let us begin. Would you all please rise in body or spirit and join in our opening hymn, number 38. Standing and join in our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve life in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. Thus do we covenant with each and with all. Please be seated. Candles have been lit this morning for loved ones far and near, and for the journey and returning home and seeing it for the first time. For all our joys and all our sorrows, whether we share them with one another or we hold them close and quiet in our hearts, let us be with one another in a moment of silence. Please join with me now in a spirit of prayer and reflection. Eternal and beloved, gracious source of all life and all love, we come together this morning grateful for this time out of time, which we have set apart so that we might become more fully present to ourselves, to each other, to our communities, to that which we call holy. May our joys be celebrated together, our wounds be healed together, our hearts be opened together. Spirit of life, we seek to know grace so that we might honor our interconnectedness this morning with each other and with those who have gone before us. When we witness suffering in ourselves and in the world around us, may we know compassion. When we are at a loss for words, when we're unsure of the path ahead, may we be guided by this compassion to be witnesses still, to know and to feel the truth that this human family is broken and that it is breaking with every life lost and with each time someone's dignity is denied. When we find ourselves exhausted and defeated and unsure of where to go, may we keep witnessing, turning ever further toward your still, small voice. And Spirit of life, remind us too that the experience of suffering does not close us off from the possibility of joy. May we know that our interconnectedness is a miracle, and may it be a refuge for us, felt in the voice of a friend, in the touch of a loved one, in memories of days spent in good company. May we remain grateful for the goodness we've witnessed and enacted in the world. May the warmth of our lives together hold us in love as we move into a future that is as uncertain as ever. We ask to know your presence, that it may remind us of what is sacred in each precious moment, even when in our brokenness. And may you teach us that sacred presence too, that we might know ourselves here and now, and that we may be present for this one wild and precious life. All this we pray in the names of those known and unknown, present and absent, remembered and forgotten, in the names of all the helpers of humankind. Amen. Would you all please join me in welcoming back Tina Dio?
Oh, thanks. It's good to be back.
I told you I was going to embarrass you just a little bit this
you
morning.
embarrassed me just
did.
a little bit.
I am so excited you are back. I am so excited to have my partner in ministry back, and I can't wait to see what we do together next.
Yay, thank you. Yeah, it's good to be back, y'all. I'm glad to be back, so thank you. And I'm going to do the Time for All Ages story this morning. So if you are young or young at heart, please come forward and have a story with me this morning. All right, I'm going to put it down, but kind of stay far away so all of your friends and neighbors can see it. Maybe I'll put it up here so others back there might be able to see it. And this is a story called The Good Shepherd. All right, so this story begins in a green field. The field is full of lush green grass. There's a small stream in this field that runs gently along the bottom, right there. There are trees and bushes in this field, so we'll put those there. And there is a shepherd in this field who cares for the sheep, right? Yeah. All right. And this shepherd has lots of sheep. Let me get them all out. Lots of sheep. Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Oh, yeah. And the shepherd's carrying one, too. 7, right? 7 sheep. All right. The sheep are very happy here, as there is lots of green grass for them to eat, right? So the shepherd looks after these sheep, right? To keep the sheep safe, the shepherd builds a fold or a fence, right? To keep the sheep in. So let's put that there. Keep the sheep over here in the fenced area. And this is a special place to keep the sheep safe at night from any predator animals, right? So in the day, the shepherd leads the sheep around the field to fresh grass. So in the day, the sheep go around, eat the grass, right? Yep. And then, but one turned up missing. Uh-oh, a missing sheep? What are we going to do? So the shepherd moves around the field and can't see the sheep. The shepherd doesn't see the sheep over here. Where's the missing sheep? It's not over here. Looks by the bushes. And then it's caught on a prickly bush. Oh no. Got caught. So the shepherd gently lifts the sheep up and brings the sheep onto the shoulders of the shepherd and takes him home to the fenced area. So now that sheep is safe, and he is happy to have his lost sheep back. And he has found the sheep that was lost. So the shepherd is so glad to have found the sheep. The shepherd asks all his friends to come and celebrate with him, for he had lost his sheep, and now it is found. So that is our story. So I have some questions. So what part of the story did you like best? You can raise your hand if you have a thought. What did you like best? Oh yeah, what did you like best? The sheep. Yes, the sheep. Awesome. Was there anything you didn't like about the story? Anything? How do you think that sheep felt that was lost? What do you think? What do you think, Nina? Scared and what? And hurt, maybe? Got hurt by the prickly bush, right? Yeah. So, when you are scared or hurt, who cares for you? Do people care for you when you're scared or hurt? You say again? Probably, yeah. Yeah, you think so? You say what? You don't know? Yeah. Maybe your parents help care for you? Maybe. Yeah. Your friends might help care for you when you're scared or lost, right? Yeah. So today, Reverend John is going to be talking about what is a minister. And a minister is someone who cares for you, right? Someone who cares for you, maybe if you're hurt, maybe when you're happy, maybe when you're lost, right? A minister is a person who can care for you too. And same with all of these people in this community too, right? In our church community, because we all care for each other here. And so we are all sheep together in this community that care for one another, right? And John cares for us. And I care for y'all too. So that is our story today about the shepherd and the lost sheep. And you guys can go, and there's some drawing stuff on the intention table if you want. And thank you for coming up.
One brief reading before we get started here. This is a jewel that's been going around the internet for a couple of decades now, probably The Perfect Pastor. The perfect pastor preaches exactly 10 minutes. They condemn sin roundly, but never hurt anybody's feelings. They work from 8 a.m. until midnight and are also the church janitor. The perfect pastor makes $40 a week, wears good clothes, drives a good car, buys good books, and donates $30 a week to the church. They are 29 years old and have 40 years of experience. Above all, they are attractive. The perfect pastor has a burning desire to work with all of the teenagers, and they spend most of their time with the senior citizens. They smile all the time with a straight face because they have a sense of humor that keeps them seriously dedicated to the church. They make 15 home visits every day and are always in their office, available when anybody needs them. The perfect pastor always has time for church council and all of its committees. They never miss the meeting of any church organization and are always busy evangelizing the unchurched. The perfect pastor is always the next church over. If your pastor does not measure up, simply send this notice to 6 other churches that are tired of their pastor too, and then bundle up your pastor and send them along to the church at the top of the list. If everyone cooperates in 1 week, you will receive 1,643 pastors. One of them is bound to be perfect.
Sing to me comfort, sing to me hope, sing to me friendships I have known, sing me a place where I belong, joyful with harmony, sing me all the way home with a song in my heart. Brighten my path and carry me all the way home. There's a beautiful power in what we bring, a strength in the glorious song we sing. Easing all troubles, calming all fears, joyful with harmony, sing me all the way home with this song in my heart. All the way home, brighten my path and carry me home. All the way home. Evening breaks a shining star, where ancient anthems from afar silence below her song in the sky. Joyful in harmony, sing me all the way home with a song in my heart. All the way home, brighten my path and carry me home. All the way
Thank you. I don't know if you'll agree or not, but from where I'm standing, this is a really weird gig. This ministry thing. It's a whole change in lifestyle when you enter into it and go through the whole process of seminary and being passed into fellowship and getting ordained and all of that. And if you didn't know me and you learned I was a minister, it might evoke some images for you. Minister evokes strong responses in people. Sometimes because of the experiences they've had in church before, for good or bad. Sometimes just because of the generally poor view of religion in this country right now due to some people abusing it. When I was starting out, I was very nervous about telling people what I did for a living outside of the church because I was way too hyper-conscious of those images that could come up. But as I've gotten older and I've ministered longer and I've got a deeper sense of who I am and what it is I do, I don't fear telling people. In fact, I'm pretty upfront about it. And it sure does evoke strong images for people when I say, yes, I'm a minister at the Unitarian Church in Los Alamos. People get nervous. Every new class that I have when I'm teaching improv with new students, as soon as they learn what it is that I do for a living, get really, really nervous about what kind of language they use in front of me. I usually have to be the first one to swear to let them know it's okay. I've had people cross an entire room to apologize to me for swearing in a conversation I didn't know I was having a part of on the other side of the room. People get defensive about their church-going habits. Oh, yeah, you know, I used to go to church. I don't more. Maybe I should start going again. I don't. It's fine. It's fine. You know, I've got other things I want to do on Sunday. Yeah, I know. Hey, if they didn't make me work on Sundays, I probably wouldn't go either. So, what do I call you? Pastor, Reverend, Your Holiness? John is fine. It's fine. So you hate gay people, right? No. It's a whole different church other than that. The images people have of ministers are varied. Sometimes we hold multiple different ideas of what a minister is when we encounter them, colored by our past and our present and our future. Some of what we assume about that image of ministry is absolutely 100% true, and some of it is a huge assumption. So what is a minister anyway? Well, a lot of things. So it's probably easier to start by talking about what a minister is not. There's many things I am not. First and foremost, perfect, unlike our reading this morning. Definitely not. As much as I have a perfectionist streak in me, I never quite fulfill it, and I understand I never will. A minister is not necessarily a judge. I know there's lots of judgmental preachers out there, but a minister is not a judge. Does not sentence anyone to any sort of punishment or reward. A minister is not a psychic. I think I've talked about this one before. Sometimes it's assumed I know everything that is going on, and it's simply not true. As I've said before, I have very limited psychic powers. I know when Jess needs a cup of tea. So in order for me to read your mind, you have to be thirsty and married to me. That's it. A minister is not a genie. They don't fulfill wishes. It would be great if I could. There are times when I would love to be able to snap my fingers and make everything better for people. It would be lovely if I could do that, but I can't. Likewise, not a miracle worker. I have no miraculous powers whatsoever. They granted me one at ordination from a limited menu. Mine was turn water into bourbon. That's it. That is all I've got for you. Minister is not a TaskRabbit. They don't just pick up a to-do list and pick up other people's to-do lists and tick everything off every day. Sometimes it does feel like that, I will admit. I live by my spreadsheets and to-do lists, but I have to remember that my purpose in being is not to do things. And most of all, a minister is not a panacea, not a magic bullet. They cannot fix everything, solve everything, make everything okay as much as they might want to. They need the help of hundreds to pull that kind of thing off. So what is a minister? Minister derives from the Latin ministrare, which derives itself from minus, less than. A minister in the classic Latin is a servant, somebody who serves, and specifically the sort of servant who stands between the Lord of the manor or the God that is worshipped and the hoi polloi. Someone who's an earthly interactor with people on behalf of something bigger. I'm not fond of the word servant much anymore. It connects too much to the idea of slavery, and that's a thing I would like to banish from our consciousness. And that serving a lord of some kind has too much kingdom image to really fit a democratic institution like we have here. And there's so much more to the job than that. A minister is honestly what we call a capellaphile, a lover of hats. We wear many hats, frequently all at the same time. What sort of hats does a minister wear in the setting of a congregation? Well, they are a leader of a faith people, a people of faith. And at the same time, they are that servant. It's kind of a quantum state, leading and serving at the same time. It's an interesting line to walk there. And a minister is a preacher, and a minister wears the hat of a teacher, and we are also entertainers, stage managers frequently. They tell you in seminary there's nothing entertaining about worship, and yet there is an element to that. I use my theater degree more now than I ever did when I was not in the church. We wear the hat of the counselor, of the deep listener, someone who is a shoulder to sit there and listen to all of your cares and concerns without judgment, to just be a witness to what you're going through and all your joy and all your sorrow. The minister wears the hat of the caregiver, sometimes in broader terms, not always very specific care. And a minister is a researcher, constantly. And sometimes they wear the hat of the janitor, the IT guy, a money manager. Why did I pick this career if that was going to be the case? A marketer and a hype man, a party host, a mediator between people, a facilitator of conversations amongst people, a consultant sometimes, a spiritual guru, a cheerleader for everything that's great about the church, a lobbyist with legislators for the values we believe in, an expert on whatever it is I happen to be talking about in a given week that I will then forget for the rest of my life after the sermon is over, a caseworker for everybody going through multiple problems in a community, a CEO and an HR department all wrapped up into one, those hats right there, and a public theologian, and a maker of coffee, and what one minister referred to over a decade ago as a generalist. In fact, they say ministers are some of the last generalists in the country. Someone who understands a lot about a whole broad range of things and has to be at least competent in them, if not perfect, if not expert. And when you've got to be good at all kinds of things, you're going to be better at some things than others. And sometimes the tower of hats gets a little wobbly. Frequently hats fall off. My balance is not what it used to be, so getting them picked back up again is a challenge at times. And what this means more than anything else is that a minister is human. A minister is human. And they need care and feeding just like any other human being, as well as they try to balance all of the hats. So how does one care for their pet minister? First off, we give them, as I've preached a lot this year, space and grace. Space to let them be all of who they are, to become more fully human, because that is our purpose here together. To let them be especially the professional that they're trained to be. And grace for the times when they make mistakes, or they have a bad day, or they show their humanity a little too in the raw. Because we screw up just like y'all. Talk to your minister. It's a good way to take care. Tell them when they've done something that you disagree with or you thought was particularly heinous. Tell them when they did a good job, that you liked something they had to say in a sermon, that you appreciated something about them. And more than talk to them, ask questions. Because like I said, this is a weird gig. I don't even understand it to its fullest sometimes. So if you want to know what's happening and what ministry means in a particular moment, ask me about it. You might stump me. We might have a really excellent conversation about what ministry is between both of us. Honor the Sabbath. Ministers don't get to take Sunday as a Sabbath day. This is a working day. I take a different day during the week to be rested and renewed and refreshed, to take time to fill my spirit and recharge so that I can do this weird, involved work with you all. So, when a minister sets a Sabbath day, don't call him with business. Don't ask for an appointment. Don't expect an email back anytime soon. That day is sacred. Which also means pay attention to the boundaries as well. Ministry is a weird gig. Part of it means that we have to be both of the community that we serve and separated from it at the same time. It's a strange, strange way to be. And sometimes that means we have to say no to things. Sometimes that means we have to be very clear about when we're available and when we're not. Sometimes it means that we can't go to every dinner party or function. Honor the boundaries that may need to be set. Let your ministers have full and well-rounded lives. They need to do that in order to be fully human, to become the full human that they are, because that's part of the job, part of what we model to a community. So we need to have that full life where we are dedicated to a church, we are committed to serving it, but we're not completely consumed by it every waking minute, every second. There is more to life than here. We need to feed our souls. We need time to try new and different things as we keep on being that generalist that we are called to be, that hat that we wear. Be willing to put on a hat. It's a tall stack of hats. And sometimes I just need one of them off if it's feeling particularly heavy. And if somebody's got a particular talent for that hat, or better yet, they look really good in that hat, wear it for a little while. I would love to have you companion me like that. I can't wear all the hats as much as I try. Don't let your ministers do things alone. congregation is us. And most importantly, accept the humanity of your ministers and treat them accordingly. Don't have expectations that are beyond something that you would expect of any other human being. Don't expect the perfection. Don't expect a paragon of spirituality and goodness and kindness. We strive to be those things, but it's not always easy. Because at the end of the day, when all the hats have disappeared, when the spring winds have blown them all off my head into the canyon, what a minister is a human being called by a community to become more fully human in front of you in a very public way, and called to encourage you to find your fullness as well. What a minister is a creative soul painting pictures of who we still could yet be as a community. We are a servant, for better or for worse, standing at the boundary between the finite and the infinite, trying to translate the language gap there and calling humanity back towards that infinite, the love that sits at the center of all things. A minister is a faithful person, called to wrestle with what our values and our principles mean in a world that changes, trying to reconcile our ideals with reality, and reporting weekly on the progress. A minister is a finite and a fragile person, called to witness and to sit with every other finite, fragile person in their care. To witness and to be with all the others in all their trials and all their triumphs of their brief lives, all of our brief lives, from birth until death, and sometimes beyond. Being with a community in sorrow and celebration, and sometimes blessed silence. May it be so. As we prepare to return to our everyday lives, it is time to give something of the gifts of this congregation back to the larger community we are part of. It is time for our offering. During the month of July, all cash and undesignated funds we collect will be given to our friends at Strong in Nature here in Los Alamos in support of their work with victims of domestic and sexual violence. You may give today through the baskets as they are passed, through the Givelify app or the box in the back. The offering will now be accepted. May what you give bring you joy and into deeper relationship with this community. Important announcements and upcoming events can be found on the back page of your order of service, through our email listserv for announcements, on our Facebook page, and our monthly newsletter, The Voice. Just a few things to point out, and they're the same things I've been pointing out for the last few weeks, and I'm going to keep pointing them out. First up, our backpack drive is still going on for one more week. The 24th is the last day for school supplies for the children in the Afghan refugee families we have been helping support the last few years. Kelly Shea here has been spearheading that, and if you have questions, you can talk to her. I did send out a list earlier this week on announcements of what's being looked for, and we have a box here to collect that. So if you can contribute, please do. Or cash or gift cards. We will always accept cash for anything. We are intending to put up an information booth about the church at a couple of the remaining summer concerts for this year, much like we do at County Fair or at Pride Fest. Patrick Webb is spearheading that effort, and he's now back from his travels, so he can actually talk to you about it at some point. If you would like to talk about the church for an hour or two on a Friday night with a lot of people all around you, please come join us for that and help talk about this wonderful church community and what it has to offer Los Alamos. And to that, we will be participating in the county fair again this year with our information booth. I'll be looking for people to take a shift there as well at the info booth, hand out literature, answer people's questions, generally chat them up and be friendly and make them kind of want to check us out. We'll also attempt to march in the parade this year, which we have not done in several years. I'd like to see how many people we might be able to get together for that. So if you're interested in marching, send me an email or come talk to me in coffee hour as well. I want to see as many of our faces out there showing the community who we are. That's August something something. Yeah, thank you. August 12th. The fair tends to go from about 9 to 4, so there'll be several hours that we need to cover there as well. And now would you all please rise in body or spirit and join in our closing hymn, number 18. Friends, may life bless us and keep us. May the light of life shine upon us and out from within us and be gracious to us and bring us peace. For this is the day. This is the one wild and precious life we have been given. So let us all find a way to rejoice and be glad in it. Go in peace.